Hello, my friends. Today I wanted to talk with you about this project that I started 2 weeks ago. Basically, I wanted to implement a new website in Laravel, and as I'm a newbie in Laravel, I thought could be a good idea to try and use ChatGPT and see how far I can go with it. So I've been testing it now for 2 weeks already. And I'm going to share with you the whole thread right now, uh, how things were going. I'm not really sure if this whole thing can be just like a few stories because it's really long and it's really interesting to see how things go and how far ChatGPT can help you implementing a new website. The project is a SAML2 single sign-on, which is a protocol for single sign-on authentication. So let's dive in and here how I started. Here's how I started with ChatGPT. So um, first, I usually define the thread. So when I'm starting something new, I ask ChatGPT. I give ChatGPT a role and a persona, and then I ask him to help me. And it's good to have one thread and all the questions in one thread because it minimizes hallucinations. Then ChatGPT is trained. He knows what is everything about, and every time he can modify, add, or make changes, and he knows what's the theme. So here, I just started and said, "Hello, you are a PHP expert programmer with extensive knowledge in Laravel and the SAML2 protocol, which is what I'm working on. I'm working on a project to build a single sign-on portal. My goal is to structure this project optimally, generate efficient PHP code review." And then I asked, your role is to assist me in planning, implementing this project. Specifically, I need you for the following. So the first thing is the project structure, because it's a new project. So and I'm new to Laravel. So I thought let's ask ChatGPT to structure this project. Code generation and code review is the third point. So structuring the project, choosing the libraries, how the files, how the database, how everything is going to be structured. Code generation, in case I need it for classes or any part of the code, and then the code review if there is any implementation, any improvement, sorry. Okay, so this is the answer of ChatGPT. Absolutely, I'll be happy to assist you. So the file organization here, the packages, the environment, etc., the routing, all things. So I had already an installation. When I started it, I didn't start from scratch. So I wrote to ChatGPT, I have already installed and configured Laravel version 8 with Breeze. And for the SAML2 identity provider, I used also a package that I will be sharing later. So, but my thinking was now I need an authentication with roles and permissions, because I will have three roles: the super admin, the admin, and the user. So the answer was that I could use Spatty with Laravel permissions, and then I had the steps for the installation with Composer here, and then creating the migration, and then running it. And this was an example of a model setup, and how I can, this is the usage, like if you have a name, the commission is an example for one of the roles. So we can give it the permission, which is manage users, and then we give the permission to that role. And then we assign it to a user. Here, for example, will be the user with the ID 1, and then we can assign it. So it's pretty interesting and pretty forward. So something like this takes just a couple of minutes. You have just to write it, and he gives you all the steps. And I found, okay, this is really great. So let's implement this. And I used that, and it was really good. But it's always like this. When you run, for example, a command or something, you get an idea. So here, for example, when I tried to run the PHP artisan vendor to publish the Spatty permission and the service provider with the tag migrations, I got this error message: no publishable resources for tag migrations. So I asked, why is that? And then, of course, I got some answers to that. Maybe the package is not installed. Maybe the service provider is not discovered. Um, so here, like 1, 2 possible solutions, and of course, because I'm newbie, so I didn't know things. So for example, I asked here, where do I find this package config file? And then I get the answer. So basically, what it means is, if you run something like this and you get into a problem, you can ask ChatGPT again. And I think, why is this? It's because ChatGPT doesn't always give the whole answer like with a lot of details. So it gives you the steps and you follow the steps. And if you have a problem, you can go back and ask ChatGPT why you're having the problem or the error message. I'm not sure if this is the best thing, because I would prefer if I had like every steps and then I go and follow everything, and not like just you can go into the config and change this, and then I have to ask like, where is the config file? Where do I find that? And I'm saying this not because only of this one, because I've noticed this is a pattern that keeps coming back. Every time I try to run some commands, I get back into some problems because some things are missing, because the answer of ChatGPT was not precise enough. Okay, so here again, no publishable resource for the tag migration, and I asked where I find the config, and then he said like the config should be here, the config permissions, and that I have maybe to clear the cache, and then I got it running. So now I asked that ChatGPT posted an example, but that example, where should I create it? Where is it supposed to go? And then he gave me this answer. So he gave a very basic example with a role controller. I was not fan of this answer. I said, I don't really want to create a role controller right now. But so I asked, is there a way to add the first roles and permissions manually? And I got an yes, indeed. And you can see there are sometimes some iterations. So you don't get one answer, but there are always many possible ways to solve a problem. And this is also great. So for example, here I get in this answer that I can create a seeder. And then, so this is the command to create the seeder, and then I should update the seeder. And then I can define the role here, and then I can run the seeder. And this is what I was looking for. This is a good way for me to solve. So I can just get a user. I can create the roles. I know that I have just 3 roles. I don't have like to create pages for creating roles or controller for that. I know I have 3 roles. I want just to create them and assign them. Assigning the roles to users, I will do that in the user interface later. But for now, I just want to create those. So, and the seeder is the best solution. So we got now the seeder, and then I asked, in the code snippet you proposed, I'm able to create a new role, new permission, but how to assign the permission to the role? Okay, so here. So I have a role. Here is the permission to create it, and then user assign role. I noticed that, where was it? So, okay, I remember now. So here we created the role admin. Here, for example, we can create the permission, which is, for example, edit articles. And then we can assign, this is the user, we get the user, and we assign the role to the user, which is the admin. The thing is, this permission is not assigned to the role. So, because normally you have a role and you have different permissions for that role, like edit article, add article, and then to the role. So here, and I asked, this is why I asked here, how to assign the permission to the role. And then I assign the role to the user. So I got this answer. I can, for example, edit users is create this permission, delete user is create this permission, and then the role, I create and I give permissions to that role, and then I assign the role. So this is great. But I didn't find the function give permission to in that class. So I asked, I'm not able to do that because this function is missing. So, and ChatGPT says, okay, I'm sorry for the confusion. There is another function which is sync permission instead of give permission to. That one is also missing. So I said, sync permission is also missing. I am using Spati version 5.10.2 and Laravel 8. So again, I got the answer that I can attach. So role permissions attach, and then I can attach the permission, which worked. Okay, great, that worked. So the good thing when you have ChatGPT is like you have a mentor or a tutor. You can go back and ask questions. If it's something doesn't work, you can go back and ask it questions. So this is a good thing. The bad thing is I am using it as if I am following a tutorial, which means I need this step, and then I need this step, and then I need this step, and I have to go from the one to the other. I might find a tutorial that does exactly the same thing for that system. I mean, if I look for a Laravel and authentication system with Spati, I might find everything, and I just have to follow the steps. So I don't have like to go and ask questions and go back and something. Of course, following tutorials doesn't always work the way it's supposed to. And you might have problems that you have to Google. Like you can use, for composer, you can write a composer command and try to running, and then you get an error. And then you have to Google why this error is coming. But still, it's better than having every time a new proposal. So, okay, let's continue. So now, what I asked is, I want to add Livewire to my project. So how can I do that? And then, of course, I get the installation steps here. So the composer and then running these artisan commands and stuff. Okay, then now I want to add new fields such as first name and address to the users because I have the user entity already. So the model exists. So create a migration. That's fine. So add the tables. And then because I'm working now on a project that is in connection with another project, and I already have a table user. So I asked ChatGPT if I can maybe give him the MySQL export from the other database so that he can give me the whole code to copy directly. So here you can see we have just the first name and the others, but I can also add everything. But I didn't know if ChatGPT would understand the export from MySQL. I can translate it here. And that's what I asked here. If I provide you the fields in the form of an array or MySQL export, would you be able to generate the migration file? If yes, please provide me with the format. And that's what yes, I got as an answer. And for an array, please provide this. And I can also provide the database, which is great. So I pasted everything, and you can see there is a lot of tables here, a lot of fields, and I got the answer, which is, of course, I like this. I like this a lot because I can, I don't have like to spend time copying everything. I gave him, I export from there, I import here, I get already the migration, and it's really good. Of course, sometimes you have like to make some changes or adjust things, but it's fine in general. But it's good. I like it. Okay, then after doing this, I got an error which is cannot declare class update user tables, and because I'm newbie probably, so he said like it already exists in your project, and then I had to change it and then to run it again. So I modified the fields, and then it worked. So now I want to create a page to manage the users. I will want to have a data table with a list of all users, and then I want to be able to modify it or delete the user. And she's the typical crude, like create, read, edit, and also delete the users. Okay, so what I wrote here is the page should only be accessible by super admins and admins. I need to have the link to the page in the primary navigation edge. It should be only visible for the super admins. And here what the page should contain, which is create user button, a data table with all the existing user, and we will have two buttons for editing and deleting the user. Okay, this looks like a lot of code because we have to generate the controller and the views and the tables, the data tables, and many things. And also I tried to write everything here. For example, when we create a user, it should open a pop-up, and the pop-up should have a save and cancel buttons. Clicking the cancel button just closes the pop-up. The save button triggers the validation function. So I try to be really specific and write everything here so that the data table has a search, a pagination, and a sorting function. So there is a lot of information here. I wasn't sure whether ChatGPT will be able to provide me with the solution and give me everything just like in one answer. But it was not the case because it was really a lot. So and this is also maybe a tip for you if you are trying to use ChatGPT for your project. Don't give ChatGPT like a whole big task. You better have smaller tasks. You can write your steps down and ask GPT by step by step. It's the best. Anyway, if you post something like this, like what I did, also ChatGPT will also implement it in steps. So there is no way to get around this. So here is step-by-step guide was the answer, and here we should install the datatables.net, and then how, if this is for the navigation, so if he has the role super admin or admin, the link is to be seen, and then the routes here. The controller, user management, and then the file, the index, and then how it's to implement it in the Livewire. The user list is the data table, the user form is the form that should be shown in the pop-up. So we use both with the Livewire and user page management, and then we have to implement everything. Okay, so first of all, I got the problem. I add the route, but to the web.php, but I got the exception route not found. So I had like some proposition how to solve it with clearing the route, cache, maybe the syntax, maybe the middleware problem or the controller problem. Okay, clearing the cache solved the problem. Okay, so I visited this user management, but I'm receiving another exception now. The binding resolution exception target class role does not exist. How can I fix it? Because I have this link visibility only for the super admin and admins. And then here's how to solve it. Either defining a middleware, registering a middleware, or clearing the cache. Okay, that works also, was great. Now it was time to create the content. So, and I thought, okay, let's start creating the page content. Okay, first I want to create the add user button, and then when click the open the model should implement these fields, and I tried to put them in a format so that I can get, like, this is the email. Let me just check again. Okay, the field name in the database, the label, the input type. So this is the field, this is how the label, this is for in the database, and this is for the validation. So email is written like this is the label, this is the database field, and it's required. So I try to get the validation and the functions in the controller and everything at the same time. Okay, so this was the answer. I got this button. I had also the model here for dial wind. And then this is the pop-up, and This is the route. Okay, first let's include Tailwind CSS library in jQuery. Then he showed me how to install Tailwind. Okay, I run it and then install it, and you can see at the app CSS, and this is for the jQuery and also Bootstrap. Then I thought, why? Why should we use Tailwind and Bootstrap at the same time? This is not so good. Okay, so I said I don't like the idea of using Bootstrap and Tailwind at the same time. What other options do we have for implementing the model? And here again, if you follow a tutorial, maybe you don't have those problems, because I cannot imagine any developer or using Tailwind CSS and Bootstrap at the same time. This doesn't make sense. A CSS framework should be more than enough. Using two, it would be counterproductive. Okay, the answer was, I completely understand. Using two CSS frameworks might introduce unnecessary complexity and bloated styles. Of course. Okay, so I said let's use Alpine.js, because Alpine.js has also models, and then we don't need to use Bootstrap for that anymore. Okay, good. And I asked, since we are using Livewire, can we just use the styling and the scripts of Livewire to create a button, data table, and model? He said, yes, we can create Livewire components, and we'll use the data tables, the form, the functionality, and everything. I asked, do we need Alpine.js and jQuery? Or is there any scripts for Livewire? He said, the beauty of Livewire is that it eliminates the need for additional JavaScript libraries, like jQuery or Vue. So Livewire should be enough. Okay, good. Then let's create it. Okay, let's create the button. And then it started creating the button. And then this is the user form. Sorry, not the button, actually the component here. And then the model, we had the function open model, and then this is the implementation and the form. Okay. Here I had like put this in the main blade file, and I was like, where can I find the main blade file? Where am I supposed to add the component to? Okay, so, and then I got the answer. Typically in Laravel you add blah blah, and then here were the views and layouts and everything. So I had just to follow that. And again, the answers are not very precise. You get an answer, and every time you should ask again, where is this and where is that? So I don't know if you should have some experience with what you're doing. I mean, I am a senior PHP developer. I just didn't work with Laravel very often, but I used like Cake PHP, Slim, Native PHP, or Symfony, but not Laravel. And this is why having some experience is maybe needed. I don't know, for step-by-step beginners. I am not sure if ChatGPT is really best solution. Okay, so I think I'm going to stop here right now, because this is already a very long video. I hope it's not that long or boring. I will try and keep you updated, and then see you in the next one.